Providence Television International, the game changer, taking you to the outer limits of television.
Welcome to the program, Newspaper Analysis on Providence Television International. I am Ugbebo Ikekwa. With me to analyze the papers today is our regular guest, Dr. Emmanuel Egariva. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be back here. I'm happy because we are having a wider range of viewership every day. Viewership is increasing exponentially, both at home and abroad. I'm happy about that. And there are people, particularly in the western part of Europe, who are queuing in, telling us that, yes, they like what we are doing, and that gladdens my heart. So, back to you.
All right. Well, we have a particular issue to discuss. But before we do that, I'm going to play this jingle that was used decades ago for one election period quite some time back. Take your minds back and let's have that video.
So palaba, I tire for this problem, I tire for life, oh Guinea. No work, no food, no house, no life. This small water then they bring now so dirty they pull am. This small money I they get now social transport they chop am. School low, na headache, hospital no work, I tire for life, oh. My brother, waiting you they think, oh. My sister, help don't come. SDP, MKO, Kingibe, action. MKO, Kingibe, SDP, progress. Abiola na the hope, SDP na the party to solve our problem and better our life, oh. MKO, 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 action. Abiola, 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 progress. Now him be the hope for better tomorrow.
This particular jingle was used about 33 years ago. 33 years after Dr. Egariva, we are suffering exactly the same things that were being talked about as regards this campaign.
Well, it gives me a great deal of nostalgia. As a young man, I was in government then. I was the chief press secretary to the governor. And I knew about that, really. And it's so painful that 33 years after, we are still where we were, if not worse. And I remember in those days, when the campaigns were going on, I would ask my driver, oh, please, no, sir, we are going to Lagos tomorrow.
Okay.
And he would tell me, we need to get some fuel. I would say, yes, get some money.
Okay.
And he would tell me that, yes, sir, I bought some fuel. I've filled our tank. How much? 100 naira.
Filled your tank with the 100 naira?
100 naira.
Okay.
Yes, Peugeot 504 Salon. And that was it. I mean, life was much sweeter then. I pity a lot of our young people who never knew that only 33 years ago. I mean, children were born by 35 years ago, 40 years ago, probably not know what we are talking about now. Yeah. But I knew it because I was in government, and I knew that, well, Nigeria was a much better place, I mean, compared to what we have now. You buy fuel now for 1,200 naira a liter. I mean, that could give you for a whole month, then, if not more. We are having all sorts of issues now. And the question is, why have we remained where we are?
Okay.
Almost 35 years after. And it pains a lot of people, including my humble self, that we have taken one step forward and many, many steps backwards. And I would like people to respond. I mean, you can tell us what your comments are. This thing, that jingle has gone viral, by the way. And we just thought we should bring it back to refresh our memories as to what this country was many years ago. Exactly. And I think that, yes, we need to go back and look at the drawing board all over again. Okay. Where did we miss all of this? MK Abiola was coming at a point when the military was in power.
Yeah.
Okay. But even at that, life was more tolerable. Nigeria was a more livable country, even though we saw that a few things were wrong at that time. But what do we say of now in comparison? I mean, that is the issue. And I believe that our leaders can still do something to bring this country back to normalcy, as it were. Because a lot of people, a lot of Nigerians at home and abroad, they are not happy. You know, about the standard of living in this country today. They are not. In those days, we didn't have this much exodus of people going abroad. No, we didn't. Now people are fleeing the country. Excuse me. People are fleeing the country in what one may call escapism.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's not good for our nationhood. It's not.
From that same jingle, something just came up, the electoral process.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was option A4. You remember? Option A4, there was no problem.
Yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, the actors are gone now. The main actors, Abiola and Tofa. Tofa was in the PDP. I'm saying PDP. Well, it was in the NRC. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Yes. Abiola was in SDP. Those were the two main actors.
Yes.
And you know, at the end of it, people were happy. June 12, 1993, that was the day Nigeria saw a new dawn in the electoral process. And I'll keep on asking, why can't we go back to option A4?
Okay.
Yes, because there was no turbulence, no election rigging, there was no snatching of ballot boxes,
Yes.
there was no arson. The thing just went on peacefully all over the country. Even rain, heavy rain fell that day, I remember, on June 12 across the country, but people have made up their minds to vote for a candidate of their choice until IBB stopped the whole thing. And that's where we are till today. So I want to feel that, yes, why can't we? If we can't move forward by the way of the electoral process, why can't we go back to option A4? Some people say it's crude in the sense that, oh no, your people will know who you are voting for. And you just line up, they count the number, and then everybody will be happy, you go back home. So, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
If at the end of the day there will be peace.
At the end of the day there will be peace. I mean, there will be no mayhem.
Yes.
Yes. People will shake hands and all that. It was done so joyfully.
Exactly.
I remember. It was done very joyfully. And you knew the winning candidate right there. You knew it.
Yes.
And because there was no rigging.
Exactly.
There were no glitches to start with. There were no, I mean, some terrible terms we are hearing these days. Bimodal, whatever.
Exactly.
You know, we didn't have all that stuff. It was seamless. It was seamless. And I don't know, but maybe our leaders should have some rethink and do what was suited for us. It's like people are talking about democracy. Africa, and I say this seriously, Nigeria and Africa should have its own kind of democracy.
Okay.
Not really fashioned after the Western democracy. Okay. Because that has put on harm's way on many occasions. So that's on the point of my personal analysis. And I believe that, yes, things can still work better if we go back to the point of sanity.
All right, that brings us to the first issue in the news as regards analyzing the papers. We'll go down to the front page of the Punch newspapers, where we have businesses brace for inflation surge as petrol hits 1,300 a litre.
And it could rise higher.
Exactly.
It could rise higher, I can tell you, because whatever goes up in this country
has a way of not coming down.
1,300 per litre. First of all, this is quite tragic, because we are battling with survival. I mean, people of this country are battling with survival on all fronts, and then this one is coming up again. It's a pity. You heard me say a little while ago that to get Benin to Lagos a full tank, about 100 naira, maybe 120. Yes. That can only give you a drop of PMS now, maybe a few drops of PMS. And I think that this is not too good for our psyche. It's not too good for our psyche. There's a spiral. There are spiral effects all around. The transport owners, they are the first to go into the fray. Exactly. The transport owners, the hawkers, the market women,
exactly.
Yes, foodstuff, of course, naturally it has gone up. So people now cannot. They used to buy. You will tell me a small pot of gari for how much?
I think at the time it was 1,000. I started rising from 500, 300. Just started going up.
So it must be itching towards
about 3,000, 4,000.
4,000 now.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the hike.
Exactly.
And yes, people are saying because of the crisis in the Middle East. But what has that got to do with Nigeria when refineries the Dangote refinery is probably still buying crude?
I was coming to that
locally.
Question. I was exactly coming to that question.
Yes, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense
so it
at
has
all.
Nothing, in your opinion, it has nothing to do with
it has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Because it's producing from the old stock.
Okay.
Which was much cheaper, by the way. So the hike is not something that we should even think about. It's not something we should think about at all. And I understand that the price of crude oil in the international market has even come down now.
Has dropped, exactly.
Yes, considerably.
Yes.
So what is our problem? What is our problem? But added to that, why can't we have refineries run by NNPC?
Okay.
For goodness sake. Some time ago, that was quite embarrassing. Oh, Port Harcourt has come on stream, one other one has come on stream. Nothing on ground. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So what some people say it was a scam. I don't want to use the word scam, but I think that it was not right. Okay. So, and there's no competition. There's no competition at the moment. That's why people are blaming Dangote. Oh, he's come again with this monopoly thing. But government should work hard to make sure that government refineries, NNPC, I don't want to talk about government refineries, that NNPC refineries are working.
Okay.
Because if you have about 4 or 5 on stream, prices will come down naturally. But now we just have one supplying the whole country. Yes, which is a tragedy. It's a tragedy, really.
And so what would be your take as regards the independent marketers? Because most oil-producing firms have come out to complain, especially like Dangote, that these people are quite a problem to him.
Why can't government regulate their activities? Yes. If they misbehave, shut them down.
Okay.
I mean, it's very simple. They couldn't do this during Abacha. They could not. Yes, they could not. They would put all of them somewhere. But we just take civilian administration for granted. Yes, because of politics or some primordial things. Because they collude. Yes, and they have this terrific network. You can't believe it. Once the price goes up by maybe 1 kobo, you see them shutting down immediately, telling you that there's no fuel and all that. Then when the thing goes up almost permanently, they now reopen. That's profiteering, by the way. It's profiteering and it's evil. So government must come on strong on them. There are regulatory bodies for all these things. Why can't government do its work to make sure that they do not become a stumbling block on the way of progress?
Okay. I remember there was one administration in Edo State at a time, about 3 or 4 administrations ago, that there was this individual who was involved, going around the stations to monitor. If for any reason it was thought that you were involved in negative tendencies,
they'll close it down.
They'll close it down. Yes. I remember that. But that program did not work. And so how do you think other programs like that will be efficient? It
could work, but it was politicized. Okay. I mean, people were reading all kinds of meanings to it. Okay, these guys going around are members of a particular political party. But we must remove politics from some of these things and do what is right.
Okay.
We do what is credible. Okay? So we must forget politics. And that's why I urge our leaders, once you are a governor, you are a president, forget about your party politics. Okay. Everything you do as a leader must be in support of the people. You are there at the behest of the people and at the control of the Constitution. We forget all of that. And that's why there are so many aberrations and contradictions in the system.
All right. We've always talked about having little units as refineries. And I remember a friend of mine always told me once that instead of getting these people who get themselves involved in illegal fuel production, instead of getting them arrested, that they should be brought into a kind of fold or a hub, as we usually call it, to also develop a fuel production process. Are you of this opinion?
I've often said it. I've said it many, many times. You should have a cluster of these people, particularly in the riverine areas. They have some basic skills. What they produce from the creeks is used by vehicles. Yes. Diesel, for instance. You see them sometimes, they become so black.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
Yes, that's one of the pictures out there. They become so black that you begin to think that they're from outer space or something. But because they have the basic skills, we can now refine those skills and make them better. Okay. You're probably talking about modular refineries.
Exactly, modular refineries.
Move from one place to the other and all that. Yes, it can work. As long as we stick to environmental rules and procedures. Yes, it can work. It can work very well. And I understand that some licenses were going to be given some time ago. I don't know what has become of those licenses for people to have to operate modular refineries. Yes.
And so, you had actually answered that question earlier. But then, what do you think would be the very next step that Nigeria should take as regards our refineries? Some of our leaders have refineries, I'm not going to call names, in such places like South Africa and all that. Why is it not possible having them here?
It's political will and political correctness.
Okay.
Yes, we should have strong will, political will to do it. It's the same thing with the power sector.
Exactly.
Yes, people think that NEPA is jinxed. People think now that NNPC is jinxed. These institutions are not jinxed because they are working elsewhere. Why can't we work it out here so that Nigerians can have the benefit of being citizens, free citizens of this country? Yes.
Well, you made mention of the war in the Middle East. Let us go down to the next paper where we have Trump vows Iran war will end very soon. That is coming from the Vanguard.
Well, maybe Trump doesn't understand the dynamics of war. You know when it starts, but you never can tell when it finishes.
Exactly.
Okay? Because there are many variables in between. But I pity people in the Middle East. Yes, because here is a war between Iran and United States on the one hand, Iran and Israel, next door neighbors.
Yes.
But nobody is putting missiles in America. Nobody. We have not known of any city in America that has been hit by some missiles. But missiles have been falling on Iran. And Iran, funny enough, again, that's strange. There's a kind of madness. You are throwing bombs at your neighboring countries, Bahrain, Qatar, and the rest, further destroying the Middle East.
Exactly.
It is the Middle East that is at the receiving end. Honestly, I feel pity for them. Because at the end of the day, the war is over, but we are going to rebuild.
Definitely.
And it takes billions and trillions of dollars to repair things that are damaged by war. And as I said, quoting one of my favorite philosophers, Bertrand Russell, you cannot know who is right, but you can know who is left.
Exactly.
So that's the situation we have. And unfortunately, the Security Council of the United Nations is not talking. The United Nations itself is not talking. I've said it here before. This is the time when all those institutions should come together and say, no, we don't have a war in the Middle East. We don't need a war in the Middle East. The Middle East is so vital for the economy of the whole world. Yes. Here you have the channel where tankers pass on a regular basis. I understand that it's been partially blocked now, but America is trying to reopen it in the Gulf.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And you have a lot of countries that are oil-producing countries. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, for instance. That's the oil hotbed of the whole world, the Middle East. And it is even made hotter now because of the war with Iran. Look at what has happened to Iraq.
Yes.
A few years ago, Iraq has suffered almost irreparable damage. Yes. The tension between Baghdad, remember, and the United States was so much that everybody thought, oh, this was going to be the end of the war, of the world, until they captured Saddam Hussein. Now, Iran, a great country, beautiful cities and all of that. But the problem now is that the American people, or rather Trump himself, wants a regime change, which cannot come on a platter of gold, all right? So we are looking at some of these variables, and I will plead that world leaders, yes, the United Nations, should quickly call a meeting of world leaders, eminent world leaders, to a round table.
Okay.
Yes, particularly the superpowers, China, Russia, and the rest, to come to a round table and discuss quickly. I'm happy, though, that Trump has been in touch with Putin, the Russian leader. Whatever they are going to say will also impact on this war. But don't forget that in this kind of situation, there's always a division, all right, where you have allies on one side and the others teaming up with the other. Russia, you can be sure, is coming on strong in support of Iran. China, for instance, even though they are doing it surreptitiously. North Korea, for instance, all right? But with the US, you have the allies. UK, for instance, has just given its intention to support the United States in accord with NATO, for example. So you can see the world is divided already.
Exactly.
And that does not augur well for progress, global progress. Right. The international community is such that whatever affects one country now will have a spiral on some of the world powers. You cannot expect now, for instance, that all the superpowers will just be on one side. No. There's a balance of terror Okay? But the other country should not be a pawn. The fear that America has, and I must tell you, even Israel, is that, look, all these nukes that we're talking about should not go into the wrong hands of the Iranian authorities. Okay? That's their fear.
And so you don't think that this is a part of expansionism on the part of the American society?
No, not really expansionism. We are talking of protection of interest.
Okay.
Protection of world peace. As we can see in the Middle East. Because they believe, and a lot of people believe it, that Iran, if care is not taken, they can be a bully. Also in the Middle East, okay, because of the propensity of the Iranian authorities to lord it over smaller countries in the region. Yes. Okay. And this will surprise you. You will have expected that a lot of Arab countries will also be in support of Iran, but they are not.
Exactly.
Yes, they are not at all. And the mistake that the Iranian authorities have made is to be throwing missiles, drones, into countries that are supposed to be in their support for one reason or the other. Yes. But they have said it was an error, but I hope that the error should not persist.
The error should not persist. Now, let us look at the nation like Dubai has come out to close up their airspace. Most nations in the Middle East have done that. Do you not think that this is crippling economically to other parts of the world?
That's what I'm saying. Whatever happens in the Middle East, it has some spiral effect. Don't forget. I mean, people always mention Dubai. Dubai is only a city in UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
The big city there, really, it's Abu Dhabi, which is the capital. But they always talk about Dubai because it's the commercial hub. And it's one of the biggest airports in the whole world. Cited, of course, again in the Middle East. So you are expecting that all those flights that usually go in there will be cancelled. You know, for obvious reasons. People, other nationals, Germans, the Japanese, and the rest who are domiciled in some of these countries, they are leaving the country in droves. Unfortunately, and I must mention this, 3 days ago or something, the Nigerian authorities are yet to send a plane, you know, to this war zone to lift Nigerians back. Yes, and I don't think that is right. That's not right, because about a week ago, the German authorities said, look, all Germans, you must go back, even the United States. Yes, you must come back to your home country. What are we waiting for?
And now to the front page of the Nigerian Observer, where we have opposition parties weak, says the APC. So from your point of view, how do you see the statement?
Well, first of all, I think it's some kind of paradox. You don't expect people to be talking about that, really. But it is to the advantage of the opposition.
Okay.
If the ruling party could be saying that. So it means that they can gear up, you know, their system to make sure that they work harder. They are being assisted, really, I mean, come to think of it. And I don't think there's a statement in bad faith. If you are talking about true democracy, the opposition, in any democracy, the opposition should be strong. Okay. So that it can put the ruling party on its toes. There are so many policies that we have seen in this country where the opposition did not even talk at all, you know, and I don't want to talk about them, but it's true. Now, and I think they are referring mainly to the major opposition party now, which is the ADC, because I know that PDP is falling aside already. Now, even within the ADC, you realize that things are not working according to plan. Okay? People are falling over each other in terms of wanting to get the ticket for the presidential thing. You have Amechi there, you have Obi, you have Atiku, you know. And very soon there will be fragmentation. And I think that will make APC very happy. All right. So, in a way, they are right. I mean, opposition should be strong. That is one of the things that make democracy so beautiful. Yes. And the opposition should be on the side of the people all the time. I said this in one of my books, Pathways to Effective Leadership. And I think that, yes, that's right. They must be on the side of the people, not to antagonize always, but they must make the ruling party to sit up all the time. And when there are wrong policies, yes, they must speak on behalf of the people to be sure that things are done properly. In the same vein, when the ruling party is doing well, the opposition should also say it. Okay? It's not to antagonize all the time. Otherwise, a lot of meanings will be read into this stuff.
All right. I am already reading meanings to read. With the level of defections that we are having, do you think that could be one of the reasons that the APC will say that other parties are weak?
Possibly. We don't even want to talk about that now. Possibly, yes. If they must have about 31 governors now,
yes.
out of 36. And that speaks volumes of the kind of opposition that we have. All right? It has become unstoppable. I mean, this whole syndrome, it has become unstoppable. And well, nobody knows. Perhaps with time we know the real reasons why they are moving from the opposition party to the ruling party. Many reasons have been advanced, but maybe we'll reserve that for another day.
We'll reserve that for another day. And then just before we delve away from this political party issue, this issue of having numerous political parties, there are some that do not even have offices in some of the states. You know, we've talked about this issue some time ago, and you said we could also discuss it in future. Could we use this opportunity to finalize that discussion?
Yes, I thought I proffered a solution. I mean, the solution should be that we should have maybe 4 or 5 political parties, certainly not more than 5, okay? And the reason is it makes the whole process less expensive, less turbulent, okay? I mean, for instance, if you have 5, it means that your ballot paper will not be as long as what we have now. Just 5. And it makes it easier for the electorate to have their choice, okay? Right now, they are in a dilemma. They are particularly the illiterate ones. They don't know where to pick on things. So yes, that's right. We must not have. Must not have beyond that. I like what Babangida did. Yes, when we had SDP and NLC, a little to the left and a little to the right. So you have the progressives, you have the conservatives, you know, and things like that. And that's what happens in many notable democracies around the world. You have fragments here and there, but these are the main ones that people usually should talk about. In a multicultural and multi-ethnic country like Nigeria, I think we should have about 3. Minimum of 3, maximum of 5. Yes.
Okay, well, we'll go away from that now. When my boss heard the news today, he was not really happy. Nigeria just lost another wonderful personality in the person of Coach Onigbinde.
Well, yes, another great personal loss to me because I interviewed him in my sports commentaries days. Yes, I think a couple of times. He's a much younger person. Onigbinde, and I'm asking the question, why have we lost so many coaches? We've lost so many in the last maybe 5 years. Okay? He has just been added now, and it's a very sad moment. Onigbinde was for many years attached to ICC, which later became 3SC. He was their playmaker, okay, in terms of coaching. And then he moved on to the Super Eagles, right, in 1984, I think, and the first indigenous coach of the Eagles in 1982. Yes, and he went on to get into the semi-final of AFCON in 1984. A great man, very disciplined, very, very disciplined, that I know very well. People may say that he was highly opinionated, but that was him, okay? And he held on very strongly to his beliefs. He believed that, yes, we must give room for indigenous coaches. I also align with him on that basis. He was one of the advocates of that system. But yes, it was quite respectable, very respectable, respected by even his colleagues, yes, in the coaching profession. So, but we've lost many. Sebastian Broderick. These were his, I want to mention about 3 of them really, who were his contemporaries. Sebastian Broderick, he died at over 80. Paul Hamilton, okay, he was also a coach. The only one that is standing now, it's Alabi Aisha. Is approaching 90 really, if it's not there already. So the old brigade, as we call them, they are going one after the other. And I believe that, yes, it's a major loss to Nigeria because it must have impacted a lot of young ones who went with him to the coaching profession. And I'm happy though that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sent a message of condolence to his family, which is a good one, at least for sports followers. But again, it should not just end with a condolence visit. What of the family he has left behind? Okay, I mean, this guy labored, he slaved for this country, and I believe that his family, the family of the Onigbinde hierarchy, should be helped in one way or the other. The government should do something for his family. An institution could also be named after him.
Okay.
Yes, there are many we can name after him, for example, not just in the western parts of the country, but maybe one or two somewhere in other parts of the nation, because he was one of the people that made us proud in football. So our prayers will go to his family, on behalf of management and staff and friends of Providence Television International. I want to express a very deep sympathy with the Onigbinde family, and I pray that the good Lord will rest him peacefully in his bosom.
Amen. And just before we go, this brings us to the welfare of those who have put in so much, especially when it comes to sports. What is actually the welfare package in Nigeria?
I doubt if there's any. I doubt if there's any. That's why I advocated the other day that there must be a kind of foundation. Yes, government will chip in money, the organized private sector will be encouraged. The major players in the organized private sector should also play a role. Maybe about 1% of their earnings into this sports foundation. So we can take care of not just coaches, but players. Players who have been put on the margin of life and existence. And there are many who have... I saw Korowanta the other day. There's a place where players meet, very close to our TV station here. I met him on a particular Sunday, and I wasn't particularly happy with what I saw. He's happy, but he ought to have been much better than that. Tyler Korowanta, one of the great players that Nigeria has produced, through Benel Insurance, here in Benin. I mean, there are so many. Henry Wosu, for instance, but who probably have gone into oblivion. So we must remember them while they are alive. And when incidentally they pass on, we must do the needful by supporting their families. Okay? That's my take.
All right, and on this note, we want to say that the CEO has, as usual, his parting shot.
Well, I thought that was going to be my passing shot, but I usually put the passing shot. Yes, the differential in pricing of PMS. I think that Dangote and a few stakeholders should come together to ease the pain that people are going through. Virtually every sector of the economy is being affected. Virtually every sector. Even landlords, you will be surprised. Landlords will take advantage of this in Nigerian style. Cement will go up, obviously. Price of cement will go up. Building materials.
It will not bring me to this question. Yeah. What will be the concern of fuel increase with somebody who built a house 30 or 40 years ago having to increase his rent?
The fellow will tell you that his pension has not been paid. His whole life depends on rent or whatever. Yeah, but that's not good enough in the first place. But I think that, yes, as I was saying, quite seriously now, we must look at this. We must look at the pain, the agony that people are going through. There are few cars on the streets now. Yeah, many people have parked their cars. They cannot afford it because to move your vehicle from point A to point B for a distance of about 5 kilometers, you are going to use almost 3,000.
Exactly.
Yes. I mean, if you are going from a place that I'm talking of Benin now, let's localize it. You are going from Saple Road to Ugbo in your car. You're going to spend about 4,000 or 5,000.
Exactly.
Yes. Just by just to put some little fuel into your car. Rather than that, where common sense will prevail, park your car, go in public transport. That will be less expensive. But you see, it doesn't augur well for businesses. It doesn't. Particularly small-scale business enterprises. They depend on fuel to power their generators because NEPA is nowhere to be found. NEPA is going into oblivion. Yes, so to speak. And I pray that one of these days, their days will be counted. Yes, their days will be over and we're back to where we are supposed to be. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to the program. And for you, our esteemed viewers, I want to once again say thank you so much for being there for us. Till the next edition of the newspapers analysis on Providence Television International, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.